Good morning. I think we are live. So, welcome to this first installment of ThinkingFunny.com's Humor and Comedy Writing Conference. I'm Rob Lightfoot, and it's my distinct pleasure to be the person to introduce you to a cast of people that I think you're going to find to be extremely helpful and knowledgeable and fun. I want you to understand that our goal here is to have a broad spectrum, a kind of a cross discipline view of comedy. And we may as well say right now, not everyone will find the same things funny. That's true. You know that. But I'm hoping, and I really believe that once you get to hear what animators and songwriters and stand-ups have to say, that you will find, and column writers, that you'll find there's some things you can take from this. We are recording this. It will be available. And we are looking forward to having a smooth event. There have already been a couple of little glitches. I was going to introduce you to our master ceremonies for later in this evening. And everything worked yesterday. And this morning, his setup isn't working for him. But the good news is, one of our session presenters in a couple hours is in Vietnam, and I just brought him on screen and we chatted. So a travel writer, Dave Fox. So in a few minutes, you'll be meeting John Vorhaus, our first session presenter, and really kind of the anchor of this conference. I met John 25 years ago when he was teaching at UCLA, humor writing, and I have continued to be impressed by his body of work. And I'll be introducing you to him in a minute. What I'd like to do now very quickly is to recognize the winners, the finalists, I should say, of the humor writing contest. The results will be announced this evening. The finalists, and all of these were invited gratis to the conference. Some of them are here now, I believe. Kevin Bailey wrote a piece called Pecker Problems. Edward Boronsky wrote a story called The Risk. Suzanne Cushman wrote Lifelike, Really? Laura De La Rocha, Third Rate Pets. Diva Gallagher, The Demise of the Marriage Tester. Amy Ma, The Rock. Alice Machaney, Even Stevens. Linda O'Connell, When Only a Bottle Would Do. Sarah Totten, The Natural History of the American Businessman. Jennifer True, Yes. And finally, Jillian Van Hefty, and these are in alphabetical order, Hearing Red. So that's what you can look forward to this evening. Hope you're able to join us with that. But for now, let's go on and talk about the sessions coming up here. It looks like we have about 39 people, 91 attendees, but 39 here with us this morning, including people from as far away as Denmark. There are people that are up in the middle of the night to be here with us. So I really appreciate that. And I think you're going to be well rewarded for your efforts. We will have some handouts for some of the sessions and other links and things available. There's been an email that's gone out. You may have seen it, but if you didn't, there's a Facebook group associated with this event that is a private Facebook page. If you were in this group, even if you have to leave early, or if you have a friend who's not here, they will be invited to the Facebook group. Because one of the things about Crowdcast is that you can see and chat one another, but you won't, unless you're invited on stage, you won't be seeing each other on the screen, which allows us to have kind of a distraction-free environment. However, it also means that you don't have the same fun as you would at an event where you go in the lobby. So we are going to have a Zoom session right after our readings, where if you're still around and you want to, you can gather. And certainly we can put a Zoom session up over lunch, perhaps, if you guys want to mingle, just let us know. Now, many of you I see are South Carolina, Monterey, California, wonderful from Kentucky. I thank you for being here. Oklahoma, Central Virginia, a wonderful showing of participants. And I'm so glad you're here. I really want to give a shout out to many of the clubs that you must be a part of, because I reached out for this debut event to literally hundreds of writing groups around the country, and I was just gratified by the response. I myself am a retired teacher, performing arts, journalism, humor column, been writing and studying humor for years. And it's just heartening to find that there are so many helpful people who, just for the sake of just helping others and maybe a shout out on their website, are willing to be just so helpful. And I'm deeply grateful. We are up to 42 strong right now. And again, we're only 5 minutes in. Let me see if our master ceremonies has managed to get back online, or I'll start going forward with some of the introductions. Let me give you kind of a brief preview, because I know some of you may not be able to attend every single session, but there's something like 12 people, depending upon whether you count our moderators, and which I do. But the morning will begin with John Vorhaus, and he is with us. I see him in the chat. He has taught and trained comedy writers all over the world, and is the only human in history to have worked the American, Russian, and Bulgarian versions of Married with Children. He has some other things we'll say about him, but we have him on board very shortly, and he is ready to go. I think he's actually in Boston, so I don't know if that means he's going to speak with an accent today. We'll have to see. He is by far one of the most able teachers I have ever met. He not only has worked in industry, he's a funny guy, and he's probably going, oh, don't oversell me. But you can't oversell John. You're going to like him. Dave Fox, I mentioned, is our person coming to us from Vietnam, and he has written a book, Globe Jotting. Actually, I was looking for John's book, and I think it's in a box that got packed up when I had to move my office. But in a little while, you'll meet the fellow who is the author of this, and has had all kinds of interesting travel experiences coming to us from Vietnam. And we have actually backup plans in case his connection tanks on him. Then we will move into having a stand-up session, and that will be at 11:30. I say that because for much of yesterday, I was telling the stand-up comics, you're going at 10:30. And then I finally looked at my own schedule and, horrified, realized, oh, they're at 11:30. So you will be able to meet our master of ceremonies, because I'm sure by then we'll have it sorted out. And that's Brian Wetzel, a stand-up comedian who has been spanning more than 20 years of stand-up comedy, actor, comedian, public speaker, excellent MC, and an impressionist. So he will be in the panel. We also have Judy Carter, who is an institution. Those of you who ever wanted to see or buy a book on stand-up comedy, she has 4 still in print. The original was 20 years ago and has just been re-released. We'll show you how you can get your hands on that if you want. No pressure. But a person who has trained many comics and is now a trainer of trainers. We also have Leanne Lord with us, and she is an hilarious comic, a woman who has appeared on television and just recently emerged from a competition, did pretty well for herself, and has a number of books out, and including Real Women Do It Standing Up and the DICT, D-I-C-T, Dictionary, Dick Jokes book. So kind of edgy, but we love her. So she'll be on our stand-up comedy panel, as will Leah Sprecher, who's also going to appear in the musicians panel a little later. She is a musical comedy performer trained. She is a single one-woman show in comedy right now going off, and all kinds of interesting things happening with her. So I think she's going to make for a fun panel. Then we will, we'll have a lunch break, and John Vorhaus will come back and talk about comedic characters. John has written a number of books on comedy, and we have kind of 2 themes for him to speak of. After that, we will hear from our musicians. And again, we have Leah, as I mentioned, who was trained at UCLA in the Ray Bolger School of Comedy, has performed in traveling shows, and has written, kind of on-demand music for commercials and stuff, which I think is kind of a challenge. It's one thing to write your own material, but to have specific requirements like that is a real challenge. And so she's up for that, and will be with us. We have Sarah Hoxie, who's written a number of my favorite tunes, has a Northern California sound I think you're going to like, and a very giving, and she is a teacher too, environmental educator, and a poet, and is able to talk about how her work has come, and is inspiring because she got serious about her career in music after many years of loving music at age 50. So those of us out there that aren't in our 20s, it's still not too late to do some cool stuff. And Sarah's there. And of course, Steve Van Zandt of the Banana Slug String Band. You may not know the name, but I bet you, if you have had kids in the past 20 years, I'll bet you know his work, including Dirt, He made my lunch, ants, and a number of other really fun things. They have many, many songs. So they're going to talk about their work, and we'll be looking forward to seeing that. So let's see how Brian's doing here. That's our master of ceremonies. Looking, and we're.
He needs the link to get in on the backside.
Oh, okay, on the backside.
He's in as an attendee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine because he gets invited on stage. So I just.
He said he's there, but you can't hear him.
Yeah, you're there. So let me look and see here.
Do you want to talk to him on the phone?
Just not seeing him in the room.
Yeah, because he needs a special thing to get into the room as a presenter.
Okay, okay. Well, if he gets in as an attendee, I'll invite him on stage. That's the way it works. Let me go on. We'll get to him in a minute. I can go on and bring John on here in a moment. We can have him talk first. Our master of ceremonies, the person who's supposed to be doing a lot of this, is out in the cold. The joys of technology. Let me see if he is with us. So not seeing Brian. I think, oh, you know what? I think he's in the wrong place. I know it's gone wrong. We'll fix that. So anyway, the final session with artists will be two people. Dave Master will be with us, a man that's, it's hard to put a label on. He is a teacher. He has been effective in making sure students who might have never otherwise gotten a job in the arts found their way to Warner Brothers. He was their talent scout for 8 years, hired many animators, but his story is one who taught kids in the inner city and made sure that they had a shot at industry. And because of his efforts, animator Chuck Jones, Bugs Bunny and all that, took an interest in him and trained him, took him to a new level as an art teacher, but also helped get him into the industry where for many years he got people started. And one of those people is John Ramirez, who has designed, he started in the ground floor in animation, moved into storyboarding, which for those, because I'm not an animation expert myself, but for those who don't know, what that means is he was involved in developing the stories for the movies. And he's been involved in things like Aladdin and The Lion King and many things. But more than that, he has branched out into helping design theme park rides. And you think, well, what does that have to do with humor? But well, actually theme park rides, according to John, he will talk about this afternoon, they take you through an experience. They tell a story in a short time and they must engage you quickly and give you context. He's also designed floats for like the Rose Parade. And again, there's something that go by in just a space of a few moments. They have to be visual experience. They have to be coherent. So you're going to get a real interesting look at that. And we'll end the day with an agents panel of people that are willing to talk about, well, primarily again for writers, but how do you present your work in a way that makes it effective? How do you find someone willing to read your material and would be a credible and effective agent for you? Because it's a two-way negotiation. And of course, many writers think just finding an agent, your problems are over, but you have to be ready for that relationship because it's a relationship and it has to be a good match. There's many different kinds of agents and some of them work with young adult authors, some work with nonfiction. We have one who has expressed an interest in humor writing and that's why she's here. We have others who are long experience in the field. So we have a panel of 3 and I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll be very, very good time for all. And then we'll end the day with just kind of a chat session about, well, how can you be funny in like the age of COVID? What sort of jokes do you think are okay? And we probably will get into a little bit of that during the day. But my main concern at this point, and what I think we're going to lead the morning with is technique. What are some things that if you're working on material will help bring humor into material and make it more effective, focused, and snappy. So that's what we're looking to do now. We then at 6, if you're still around, and we're going to have a brief break in there, our master of ceremonies, and we'll get him on. We've had him on. It has worked. Will be able to get you into an event where we will be reading either the participants, people who wrote the stories, our finalists, who I just mentioned, will be reading their stories, or if they're unavailable, we'll have a reader read their stories, and then we will announce who won the cash prizes, because all of them got comped in the event, and some actually won first prize in their particular category. So we'll do that. Then we'll go to a Zoom session. So that's kind of the lineup for the day. I am going to take a moment here, if you'll bear with me, and see how we're doing, if we've gotten Brian. And I think I see what's happening here. We're not done with this. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. I was trying to copy the link so I could send it to our master of ceremonies, and I did a number on myself. So let me go, and I will send that to you, Brian. Where is your email? Here we go. So 1 second here. Let's see, where is that? I think your email is down here. Let me just. All right, link, and there's that. So once the session is going, actually we're in a numbered session. Not that you need to worry about that. But okay, hopefully that will help Brian. Maybe that'll be our one glitch of the morning. We'll see. So I am handing my phone over to my wife, who is my kind of tech support in the background on some of this. So what I'd like to do is, let me take a moment while we're waiting to see if Brian gets the link I just sent him. It may take a moment. And there we go. And not seeing him yet. Let me point some things out in the bottom. On the bottom of your screen, you'll see that there's ask a question, and there's no questions in just yet. But if you click on that, you can ask a question or suggest a topic. And I will see that. Our presenters will see that. Polls may be things that we put out to you. For example, let me put a poll out here right now. So I'll ask you this. What type session most interests you today? And so that's my question. And I'll have here techniques for writing, or stand-up, or songwriting, or what else do we have here? Animation, or travel writing. Okay, so I'm going to make the poll visible, and let's see if it's out there. Should be. So we have a poll, and it's visible. So I'm seeing answers. I have 1 travel writing, 5 techniques for writing, nothing for stand-up yet or animation. So 1 stand-up. So
he's clicked in. Good.
And I hear we have Brian is in the room. So we will get him on stage. And I'm looking. Oh, and there is someone who, let's see. I am seeing, and we have, I'm looking, I'm not seeing him.
What does he need to do? He clicked on the link.
Okay, I'm looking.
Does he need to do anything else?
He should be available to me. Well, and the thing, you can let him know that even though we may be having some issues right now, when the next session starts, there's a tool I have that will bring everyone into it. But if I do that now, it will disrupt the next sessions. And we're coming up on that shortly, so I don't want to do that. Oh, Leanne Lord's even with us. Hot darn. She's here with us all the way from the East Coast. So good deal. Now Jim's here. Excellent. Well, I'm glad to see the number of people that are live with us now. And I'm grateful for that. I am still not seeing, let me see here. I'm looking.
Do you want him to talk by phone?
Well, I just want to introduce the crowd to the person.
Your phone, if you want to say hi.
Well, okay.
Hold on. Here, Brian, I'm going to hand you over.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
Oh, he's found you.
I don't know why I typed in Brian. I'm supposed to be able to search for people, and his name wasn't turning up search just because you are coming on board. That's encouraging.
Just think, someday you'll laugh at this.
Someday you'll laugh at this. Yeah. Yeah. Usually the humor is at my.
Oh my God.
Ah, there we are. Well, welcome to our Master of Ceremonies. And what happened was once the event started, the master link no longer lets people in. The mother link doesn't let people in. And that's a learning experience. You have to be in. If you look in your browser, it's not just Thinking Funny 21, it's Thinking Funny 21/1. So.
Oh, gotcha. Well, sorry everybody about that.
Number one.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have Pepto-Bismol and coffee. So now I'm chilled out and I'm ready now that Rob did the beautiful introductions. And I just wanted Rob not to be too relaxed this morning because he's a very relaxed guy. And I wanted to
I appreciate that. I know. Well, and I have all the biographies of all the presenters. I was going to send you copies because I just hit the highlights, and I think it's kind of helpful to know who we have. And since you're going to be, I mean, we're going to have a fun stand-up panel, and you'll be on that here in a couple of hours. But why comedy? I mean, you have many talents, and you keep coming back to it in one way or another. What's the appeal for you?
Well, I think the appeal for me is that, first of all, the way I started writing, first of all, was, most people will say that, oh, people tell you that you're funny, but I think humor is like music. It's a way that everybody connects. And if you can find something funny in something kind of painful, then I think it's a survival tool. That's what happened with me when I was writing on mental health and depression. I had struggled with it for years, and there was certainly nothing funny about it, but it became a survival tool. And boy, in this world, if you can't laugh, then you got a big problem. There's lots of things on the face of it that aren't funny, but if you can dig in a little bit and find the humor, I think it's a breath of fresh air for everybody. And we're human beings and we don't want to just feel bad. So comedy, I think, is something that can touch everybody, even though we all have different ideas of what's comedy. What I think is funny, you might not think is funny. And what you think is funny, I might be going, what's so funny about that? So it's interesting in that way too.
Yeah. So what was your first gig? I mean, I may be getting ahead of myself a little bit, but we have 4 stand-ups. It's probably going to be a pretty busy hour. So when did you first go on stage? What made you do it?
Well, I had been wanting to do it for a long time. So I geared up to do an open mic, and then I waited for a couple of about 10 years, like a lot of people do. They go, they do that. People do that all the time. It's like doing bungee jumping where you fly up and you go, I'm not doing it. Let's go back down and have coffee and donuts, because people chicken out, So I finally got up the courage and I invited a couple friends down, and you go up there and you would not believe, any comic will tell you this when you first start, you would not believe how long 3 to 5 minutes feels. When you're up on stage, you are just like, oh my gosh. And then later when you have a good 45 minutes, you look back and you go, 3 minutes, what was I so worried about? But you do open mics and it's very, very, it's terrifying and it's nerve-wracking, but that's the place to start. And you just keep going up. And so once you do that, and once you get one little laugh, it draws you in. It's like a drug almost. And you go, wow, that feels so good, because there's nothing like making people laugh. A room full of people laughing and you have them in the palm of your hand. There is nothing like that in the world.
Now, to what extent, and again, I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, but since I'm seeing already there's a lot of interest in writing technique, to what extent do you come with material that's prepared, and to what extent? Oh, pardon me. Someone says, "Which Brian Wetzel," and actually, there's a biography stuff that. Well, you know what? Because he's going to be introducing other people. Let me introduce him. As we close this session, let's introduce the person.
Yes.
Kind of like waiting for Godot here, huh? Brian Wetzel is a stand-up comedian who knows how to make you laugh and shed a tear too. His career spans more than 20 years as an actor, comedian, public speaker, and master of ceremonies. And his deft wit and quick impressions and deft wit made him an effective opener for George Lopez. Wow.
That was pretty amazing. Yeah.
To talk about that. His wild humor is often mixed with candor and frankness. His material includes stories that illustrate the struggles and stigma surrounding mental health. And he spoke on a national level for the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Depression Bipolar Support Alliance, California Hospital Association. Your presentations on mental health have brought him on stage at more than 30 college campuses, including Stanford University. So, and there's more, but that gives us a sense of, why I reached out to you, because you're someone I've known for years, caught your act years ago, and you were gracious enough to talk about how you do what you do. And so we've gotten to know each other pretty well, I think. And I'm looking forward to what you have to say. So you will be, just so those attendants know, he often will be the one, as I'm dealing with technical problems, you see there in the background, Brian will be the one helping us keep things rolling, moderating and interacting with people. So
if Rob panics during any time and something goes wrong, he's going to throw me to the lions and pretend that he's doing tech stuff, which means that he's going to be drinking a Bloody Mary off camera or something like that.
Well, I'll bring it on camera. And it's like, I probably will be reaching out to a lot of people for help. So, I just want to say thank you for being here. And those of you that are in time zones where it's pitch black outside, whatever, I really salute your diligence. Next up is the session on just kind of general comedy techniques from John Vorhaus. And so why don't there's going to be a brief session here, but let me go on and we'll bring John on in a minute. He's got a full hour, but let me just look over here at chat. So I'm not seeing any questions just yet, but so please do, and I will look in the chat myself. And if I see somebody asking something, then by all means, I'll throw a question in. But I'm going to scroll back up to the chat so far and just kind of comment on some. We're seeing we have Jeff Kennedy notes there's a lot of familiar people here from the Bombeck Conference, and that's certainly true. And what a gift those folks are. My gratitude to Terry Risby, who has been very supportive. The director of the Bombeck Conference has not felt at all competitive with our little event and has been extremely helpful. And at Dayton, there's people who have been to Dayton every 2 years. There's folks from Charlotte and all over the place. Now, I think I probably should say goodbye to you briefly and bring the next section up, because that'll be a transition for us, and then I'll bring John in. So, Brian, why don't you hang around?
I won't go anywhere. I promise. I'm here and I'm not going anywhere.
All of you will be magically transformed and brought into the next session. So we're going to do that now. It's our first session, and it will be with John. So I'm going to put in broadcast. And so in a second, it will seem to go dark, and I will invite you all immediately into the next session. But if I don't get it right, and I have been responsible at a conference, I'll throw myself under the bus. Last year at the San Francisco Writers Conference, I pressed the buttons in the wrong order, and it was like a dandelion blowing to the wind. People were in all kinds of places, and gathering them was a challenge. So we don't want to do that. So thanks for making it in, Brian. Thanks for being with us through so much of the day. Many of our presenters will be here briefly and gone, but Brian's going to be with us for a while, and I'm really grateful. So we're going to end the session and start the next. Here we go. Hang on.